So we only get a few of us today because everybody's at that Zillow Flex thing.
Oh, that's okay.
So so the three of us, I think Catherine's on here too. So we're just going to carry this. So the thing is luxury marketing on a budget. Like
I love that.
how do you give an appearance of being super successful and stuff, but not spending a fortune? So Pete, since you are the chairman of our luxury committee, I'll let you kick it off and talk a little bit. And you are the master marketer. I mean, every just for you guys that don't know, because people will tell you this, but our entire luxury department is Pete's design. So I mean, there's other people that have input, but all of this marketing stuff that's in the luxury department right now is stuff Pete's been doing for years, and it's ridiculously amazing. So Pete, talk to me when you first started. You didn't have a ton of money, and you wanted to get into the luxury market. Like, what type of marketing did you do to have that perception that you were like the big luxury agent?
I think the first thing you have to do, and if you're going to do it on a very limited budget, is you have to be consistent with your branding, because perception is reality, right? So you don't have to spend a ton of money. A lot of these sales trainers will tell you that you have to do this or do that or sign up for this, sign up. You don't. I mean, get really nice business cards, get really nice signs, do luxury open houses in the area you want to dominate in, put out 40 to 50 signs. And that right there is marketing 101. And it does not cost you a lot. So I think signs win the marketing battle with that. Now with social media, that's another way you can do it with low cost, as long as you're consistent. If you're posting twice a day, other people's listings or what's happening in the market, or just giving a quick update, or you throw in some personal items, but it has to always be consistently branded with your name and some kind of slogan. And your slogan can never be more than 5 words. So that's a marketing tip right there. You may want to write that down. Your slogan should never be more than 5 words. It should be easy to remember, and it should be something that connects them to you in a way. So a lot of mine is, it's your move, right? It's your move. And then I always say, let's make it a great one. But my marketing in the past, everything's been Pete knows, right? So Pete knows luxury, Pete knows PB, Pete knows San Diego, Pete knows Nashville. It's just an easy 3-word thing to remember, and it summarizes what the message I'm trying to get across to people and what they're looking for, because people want expertise in a hyper local focused niche. That's the big thing. That's what's going to win. So if you're good with relocation buyers, then your branding should reflect that. If you're good with foreclosure buyers or dealing with foreclosures, it should reflect that. If you're really good with dealing with estate attorneys, you could have a tagline like, we're dying to help you sell your home or something. I don't know, right? But you could have a lot of different things kind of add up to that help your branding. But it's got to be consistent, from the fonts that you use to the colors that you use to the materials that you use. And it's consistently doing it over and over and over and over again, whatever you do. So that's what I did. It's no big secret, but I was just very consistent and diligent and committed to what I was doing. So it's repetitive, to answer the
Pete,
question.
so yeah, but I want to dig a little deeper because there's only the 5 of us today, so I want to dig a little deeper on some of the stuff, because I think it's really important. I think a lot of people don't understand that you don't have to have $1 million to appear like you have $1 million, right?
Right.
So when you first got, what was your budget to get rolling when you? I know it's a long time ago, but it's all relative. Like, did you spend a lot of money when you moved out there with Dennis? You basically with nothing, right? And
Yeah.
started your real estate career as a luxury agent. Like when you moved there, so what was that progression look like when you started from there? Did you go, I'm going to do luxury immediately? How'd that work?
Well, that's what I wanted to do. So I went to one of the most affluent areas I possibly could, which was La Jolla. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't even know how to spell it or say it, really, right? I thought it was called La Jolla. But what I did is I just consistently worked. And if anybody wants to break into luxury anywhere, I would strongly recommend creating relationships with really good luxury agents in those areas. Number one, asking questions, show up, be dressed the right way, be really dressed up, smile a lot, ask questions, and try to hold other people's properties open, because people don't know the difference between a for sale sign, an open house sign, a for lease sign, a sold sign. Your brain doesn't digest it that way. All they see is the information. And you have to remember, when I started in La Jolla back in '96, the internet was just coming online, so social media didn't exist. Today, it would be real easy. I would just go and tour homes if there's broker open houses or any type of open houses, and I would interview people, and I would take video, and I'd take photos, and I would put together different compilations of things, putting that out there and sharing, like my top 5 best opportunities in La Jolla, and showing them just quick pictures of them and saying, if you want this list, reach out to me, or have some kind of call to action, right? The 5 best seller special financing options in La Jolla to buy right now. The 5 best VA possibilities, 5 best assumables, 5 best pre-foreclosure. So you got to have a hook and you got to have a catch, but you got to be consistent with how you do it. So that's what I would do. My budget was not huge when I first started. I'd say my budget was under 10 grand, but I really focused on branding and pounding that brand all the time. And brands change, they evolve, all types of things, but you have to be consistently in front of people so that they're thinking of you and they're seeing your brand over and over and over. So that's what I would do. It does not cost a lot to do it, and you'll have huge success.
Love it. Cam, tell us about your marketing and what do you do? I mean, you live in an area that, houses go anywhere from $300 to $30 million, right? So
Yep, they
talk a little
do.
about that.
Yeah, so that's great points you made there, Pete, with people believe what you tell them. And that's really the truth with marketing. I've always said that good marketing should leave the target or the lead or whatever you want to call it, asking you how does he do that? How does that work? That's good marketing. And with luxury and today with social media, you're able to get in front of millions, literally millions of people. And if you tell millions of people that Pete knows luxury or whatever it may be, whatever your slogan is, they're going to start believing it. And that's the incredible part about using social media, using the internet, building your brand, right, with the internet rather than the traditional ways like these guys had to do it back in the day, where to build a brand, you had to send out hundreds of letters or mailers, or you had to advertise in the newspaper, right? No. But today you jump on, you can go on Facebook, put a reel on Facebook. Heck, do 20 reels on Facebook. You really want to become the go-to guy? People are going to watch your videos today, tomorrow, next month, next year after that. And they will watch these videos forever, you guys. So if you wanted to solidify yourself as the go-to expert in luxury, or we can even jump off topic, go-to expert in new construction or water, whatever your heart desires, you guys, you need to start getting out there and telling everyone that you're the expert in that. Because the truth is that confidence is luxury. That's it. That's all it is. There's no difference between selling, actually there is. There's not a real big difference between selling a $300,000 house or selling a $3 million house, except for the $3 million house is actually usually easier. There's less problems. There's less things that pop up that are just people that don't know what they're doing. The $3 million homes, they usually go very smoothly for the most part, sometimes. But comparatively to some of the lower cost or lower priced homes that are always having the same issues, your confidence is really going to be the key to always putting yourself putting the best foot forward, getting that introduction, constantly be reaching out to everybody that that gives you any opportunity for those connections, because luxury is all about connections. It's who you know, and then it's putting your best foot forward. I had a funny kind of analogy here that I was thinking about on one of our runs the other day. The difference between a New York rat and a yard squirrel is just how it dresses. That's it. That's the only difference, is it's the clothes that it puts on, right? So remember, when you're deciding to get out there, Do you want to be viewed as a rat, or someone that's bald and doesn't look good, or do you want to be a squirrel that everybody loves? They put feeders out there and they give them peanuts and they do all this thing just because it's dressed differently. So remember, how you present yourself is going to be key. What you tell people and what you tell people in the masses is what is true and what is fact. Everything is made up. So if you want to be the luxury person, you tell them that you're the luxury person and you are the luxury person. I would
Hey,
be heavily,
Ken, before you
heavily.
before
Oh,
you
go
say
ahead.
something, I got to say them real quick because you like totally bashed me and Matt. Like, what's wrong
Yeah,
with being
what is
bald?
bald? What is with the bald comments? Okay.
Not bald,
Sorry,
you guys.
I
Not
couldn't
bald.
let
That's
that
too
go. I
funny.
couldn't let that go.
I
Oh shoot!
I
Not
registered.
bald,
I
not
noted that
bald.
too, Mitch. I noted that too.
The naked, I
sorry
should have
about
said
that.
the naked rat.
Where
But
the hell
you
did
know,
that come from?
get you know, yeah, exactly. Like you said, you guys get the that
bald rat?
fear of not
What?
being the go-to person out. Just get it out. These guys, the smile and they're not picking on you guys being bald, but you know the only difference is that it's how you dress, it's how you put on yourself. And I'm gonna end it real quick, but like you know what I would do today if I wanted to become the go-to luxury person is one, I'd be part of our luxury division. That's huge. But two, I would be on social media and all of the social medias, constantly telling people that I'm the luxury source in that area because people will find you if you tell them that. You will get free leads that are people that want luxury that way. I would then spend money on a retargeting campaign through Facebook to consistently be pushing myself in front of those luxury leads. Obviously, that's paid. And then on social media, if you don't have enough content, go out and tour $1 million homes. Everyone will let you go tour their homes. Go ask them if I can do a video. The more expensive the home is, the more people are going to believe that you're the go-to luxury guy in your area, which is what you're trying to do. So get out there and get in front of, you know, 2, 3, 4, $30 million homes like we have down here. Get into those homes, ask their permission to do a social media content. Everyone will say yes. People just want to sell their listings. They don't care. But for your followers, they do care. And that's the incredible part. So that's what I would do. I would get on social media, start talking, retarget the people that you get through that. Make sure that you're always putting your best foot forward. Like Pete said, make sure you're on it. That's what people expect, especially if you're going to brand yourself as luxury. You need to be luxury. So that's what I got for you guys.
Good. And I want to touch on one thing you said besides making fun of Matt and I about being bald and being rats. I think you've been cut off the top producer panel now. But the is mindset. You know, the reality is I'm a huge. My favorite line is our Henry Ford line. You guys have probably heard me say this before. It's whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. So if you don't think you can be a luxury agent, you will not be a luxury agent. That's simple. If you think you are, like I think I'm 6'2", even though I'm only 5'5", but I appear bigger in mirrors. So I don't know where that comes from, but the reality is your mindset is going to determine your future either way on everything that you do in your life. But sales and how the world perceives you is how you perceive yourself. If you perceive yourself as a 5'5" guy like me, short bald rat like me and Matt, then that's what you are. But if you perceive yourself as taller and all that stuff, I'm not going to go gain any more height. But my point is whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. It starts with mindset because all the stuff we're going to teach you, these guys are amazing, is great. But if you don't believe in yourself, then it doesn't really matter. The consumer will not believe in you if you don't believe in you. So let's go to Catherine. Hi, Catherine. How are you marketing yourself affordably to make it appear that you are this luxury specialist, which you are? But how do you do that? Or when you were breaking into the luxury market, what did you do to have that appearance so people thought you were a luxury, even though you only sold a trailer home down the corner?
Yeah, that's actually real. So I would like to first share that it literally took me 8 years to feel that I could also be a luxury realtor. And that happened because I was getting leads from Zillow. I started showing homes in La Jolla. And I was honestly absolutely shocked to see that some of these top notch La Jolla realtors, when they were showing the home, you could see that they made no effort at all that the home presents well. They would be like, I don't know, it would be dirty. They would be just sitting on the sofa on their like cellular phone, not even paying attention to me and my clients. And that's when I realized, oh my God, I'm actually much better than that, and that's kind of what gave me the confidence. Like, these are the top-notch realtors who are making a fortune, and they are not doing as good as a job as I am. When I have my listing, they are impeccable. I make sure they show every time to the best they possibly can. And I'm actually going to truly accompany the buyers coming in with their realtors and show them the home around. So that's when I started realizing, you know what, I actually can do that. But honestly, prior to that, I just thought, I never went to college. I'm not somebody who can really. I don't think people who are lawyers, doctors, engineers, they are not going to connect with me. I'm not going to be their cup of tea. I was so, so, so wrong all along. So my big tip today is, do not wait 8 years like I did. I wish somebody would have told me, you go right away to La Jolla, you go right away to Rancho Santa Fe, and you just, make it happen like you do right now, but you are going, towards less expensive real estate. So that's my first tip. My second tip, get an awesome photographer, videographer, not the kind where they schedule you have 30 minutes, they come in and out. No, you get somebody who is truly dedicated and passionate about what they are doing, and they do beautiful photos. I do videos, Matterports, reels, photos, of course, for every one of my listings. When it's a little bit more luxury, I hire for $250 a model or two. It doesn't take a lot to make you look like you are doing an amazing job. And then, I chose for my, email, Catherine at catherineblackluxury.com. And then my website is catherineblackluxury.com. So I'm positioning myself that way, but I'm also truly doing the right service, towards selling luxury. And in terms of, I think what also takes me apart is when I do open houses, I don't just have like bottle of water, I have a lot of different treats, and I have sometimes champagne and wine, even though we are not too much supposed to, but definitely beverages. And the thing which really works, guys, is to have a treasures chest with some little toys. So when there is kids, you tell them they can choose one. It's like, it costs me $1.50 per toy. Literally, I go to the $1 store, and it's amazing what these little things does in terms of people then thinking you are a top agent, but because you are going out of your way to present the home. And so that's really basically my main tips. Get an awesome videographer, photographer, go after the high end. And I say that, but I'm not seeing myself going towards luxury over 4 million. That I've never sold anything over 4 million. So I need to get my little butt, out there and go after the higher luxury. So I'm still in progress, guys. But yeah, that's my tips.
I got one thing to jump in there too. Mitch, you mind if
one second. Catherine, you still owe me $250 for the last time I modeled, just so you know.
Well, you did not do a good job. Okay, I asked you to bring in a wig, and you did not.
But I brought a lot of 80-year-old women. Remember all those 80-year-old women? They all loved me. Sorry, go ahead, Cap.
Oh, shoot. That's too funny. Oh, so one thing I wanted to say there, and this was super important, Catherine, that's a great point for photographer, videographer. I did the same thing many years ago. And for everyone out there that's like, how do we go about finding that incredible person? How do we go about finding that person that's really creative and wants to do better than just, take basic photos? I was just going through the MLS one day, you guys, and I saw one house that popped out to me, and it was so much better. The photos were so much better. I actually picked up the phone and I called the agent. I said, hey, crazy question, but who's your photographer? And the lady was so friendly. She's like, oh, so-and-so, he's the best. Listen, you guys, if you don't know who to call call the person that is using them already, and they'll be happy to recommend them. They won't even understand why you're asking it. They'll tell you, but that is so important, is having those, not just professional, but over the top professional. You want your photos to look like the home is better, nicer, bigger than it even is. So great point there, Catherine.
Awesome. All right, my fellow bald person. You're up, Matt.
Hey, good morning. So I agree with what you said. That was one of the things I wrote down as mindset. Most agents tend to work the areas that they live in. And I only got into the luxury and because they're intimidated, right? They figure the neighborhoods they live in, those are their peers. And so they're comfortable working that market. And that's what I always did my whole career in real estate. The only way I got into luxury is I built a house in an expensive neighborhood, and all of a sudden all these people were my neighbors. So I started selling those homes, and I realized, hey, it's this, same difference. There's nothing to be intimidated about. So all the things that you would do for your neighborhood that you live in that has regular tract homes, right? You can do for the most part in a luxury neighborhood. You can direct mail to them. You can knock on doors, right? You can, certainly you can post like crazy on Instagram, and YouTube and everywhere else. The easiest thing I think to do is to go around on Caravan in luxury, whatever area you want to work, whatever luxury community you want to focus on, and post other people's listings, giving them credit. But most people, the bottom line is show people these beautiful homes. Because the reality is when you get that at bat for a luxury listing, sure, that person's going to look at your website, but they're probably going to look at your Instagram, right? Or your YouTube or whatever. And they're going to want to see that you've got experience selling, with luxury homes. And if you don't have experience with selling luxury homes, you can kind of give the impression that you do by just posting other people's listings to your Instagram, right? So Caravan's a big thing. Direct mail, I know I'm always harping on direct mail, but direct mail is still very, very inexpensive, relatively speaking. And it works because people people look at it. So if it's not work, I hear this all the time. I tried direct mail and it didn't work for me. Well, then it's your message that didn't work because people did see it. They might have dropped it in the trash, but they did see it before they threw it away. And so if you didn't get any return on your direct mail, it's because your messaging was not something that resonated with people. So, luxury home sellers want the same thing that all home sellers want, right? They want to get the highest price. They want to sell it quickly. They don't want a lot of hassle, right? All the same. So, decide on a USP, mail consistently, do it, have a budget where you can do it all year long. That's the other thing. Remember, you cannot do direct mail. Like I was talking with an agent the other day and he said, I tried direct mail, it didn't work. Okay. How long did you try it for? Oh, I did it for like 3 or 4 months. I got nothing. Well, you can't do it for 3 or 4 months. You got to do it. If you start mailing to an area, you need to have the attitude that I'm going to mail to this area for the rest of my career. Because otherwise you're going to build a following and then you're going to lose it because you're going to stop and someone else is going to come in there. So this is a perfect time of the year to talk about direct mail and marketing because, you want your marketing campaign, your marketing plan to operate on autopilot. So this is the time of year where you sit down with a pen and a piece of paper and you figure out what your budget is. You figure out which areas you want to mail to if you're going to do direct mail or whatever you're going to do. And you get it all set up so it runs on autopilot. And what I mean by running on autopilot, you don't have to, be involved on a monthly basis, making sure that everything goes out. It goes out automatically, first of the month, every month. So I'm still a huge believer in direct mail. If you don't have the budget for direct mail, again, you can post like crazy on social media. You can go out. Now, here's something. I've done a lot of door knocking in my career. Okay. Valentine, I'll answer that in a second, but I've done a lot of door knocking in my career. There's a couple of ways you can knock on doors. Now, you can knock on doors and literally have a conversation, knock on the door and have a conversation with everybody that opens the door. And of course, the majority of those people are going to say, no, we're not selling, blah, blah, blah. But, once you go through a neighborhood one time like that, and maybe you meet everybody, you don't really need to do that every single month. So then a great thing to do, and I've done this, is you go out in the morning at about 7:30 in the morning, or in the late afternoon, right? Between 5 and 7. And all you do, you dress nice, you go through and you're just dropping off little market updates or flyers or whatever the heck it is. The reason you want to do it first thing in the morning or right in the late afternoon is you want all those people, when they're either leaving to go to work in the morning or coming home from work in the afternoon, to see you out there going through the neighborhood. And they're going to go, wow, that Catherine Black is a go-getter. I see her out there going through the neighborhood. Man, she's a real go-getter. I'm going to call her, right? So those things all work, and they work the same. I mean, unless it's a gated neighborhood, they work everywhere. So it doesn't have to be, a unique type of marketing just for a luxury market. That's what I have to say about that. You're on mute, Mitch.
I was just testing you guys. When you're old and bald and useless like me, you forget to press buttons. I'm gonna milk that for a couple of years, I think.
But I think that's an important distinction, though. Honestly, is that it really, it's not that different marketing to a luxury clientele than it is to a regular seller. It's very, very similar. And it's just that everybody's intimidated by it. And by the way, a lot of luxury agents perpetuate the myth that it's different because they don't want any competition. I mean, I remember years ago, I knew this agent, and she had a client who was a really, really well-known golf superstar here in San Diego. And I said, well, geez, what's that like? She said, oh, man. She almost whispered it. She said, it's so different. It's so different. It's a completely and I was like, wow, it must be really different. Now I realize that's complete baloney. It's it's not different at all. It's the same. They're all human beings. So, but I think agents perpetuate that because they don't want you competing in that space. And I'll reiterate what Catherine said. Years ago, when I would occasionally do transactions, usually I'd have a buyer's agent on one of my listings. And I knew of this agent as a really, selling multi-million-dollar homes on the beach in La Jolla. And I couldn't believe what a complete train wreck of an agent some of these agents were. And I'm like, these guys are making, millions of dollars selling these homes on the beach in La Jolla, and they're horrible. So don't be intimidated by getting into the luxury market. That's my message.
Yeah. And I'll tag on that a little bit before we go to Randy. The couple things you've heard so far from everybody: consistency. I don't care what you do. If you're not consistent, you won't get sales. So if you're new marketing, you got to be consistent. And then the other thing.
Let me answer. Sorry, go ahead. No, I just want to answer Valentina's. How many postcards a year do you send to a neighborhood before you change to a different area? You're never going to change to a different area. So if you pick a neighborhood, or let's say, like I used to live in a neighborhood that had 288 homes. And I used to mail to that neighborhood literally every single month out of the year. And I got up to the point where I had about a 30% market share. Now, when you have a 30% market share in a neighborhood, you look like you work for the builder, right? Because it looks like you're the only person that ever sells homes in that neighborhood. So, like I say, you pick a neighborhood, you want to mail to it. I think once a month is enough. You don't need to do twice a month, but you never stop. And you vary up, you except maybe you do a market update every month, and then quarterly you do a personal letter, right? But the bottom line is, if you mail consistently to a community or to an area, you will get phone calls where they call you up and say, Mitch, we live at this address, and I just got a job transfer. We need to sell, and we've been getting your mailers for years, and you're the guy, obviously, and so we wanted to talk to you about selling our house. Those are great calls to get.
Yeah, but there is one caveat to that. And you may or may not agree with me, Matt. I'd be curious, actually, your thought on this. So I'm a huge believer before you market to any neighborhood specifically that you understand the turnover rate. And so we've done, analysis of, I do a lot of it for a lot of our agents, and we'll analyze the neighborhood, and it costs you the exact same amount of money to market to 500 homes with a 2% turnover rate and 500 homes with an 8% turnover rate. And I learned this from a guy that did 50 listings a year through postcard marketing, and that's all he did was postcard marketing. And he said the thing that most agents screw up on is they don't understand turnover rate. And why would you if you have, we'll just say 100 homes, if you had a 1% turnover, that means one home is going to sell this year. But if you have an 8% turnover, now you have 8 homes going to sell this year. So I'd rather go to the place with the higher turnover rate.
Yeah, I agree with you, except, well, first of all, turnover rates are uniformly pretty low these days because everybody has rate lock, right? But you also have to factor in, okay, what is my commission going to be when I sell one of these homes? If it's a neighborhood with $600,000 homes versus a neighborhood with $5 million homes, right? You got to factor that in too.
Yeah, and I do say that if it's and we'll just use your numbers because those numbers are absurd to me. A $600,000 home, we would want an 8% or better turnover rate. But on a $5 million home, I'm okay with a 3 or 4% turnover rate. But those are my numbers. I mean, as I said, everybody's different on how they do it. I think you need to know what you're marketing to before you market and spend money. I like to know the marketing.
Yep.
And the other thing I want to touch on what you said, Matt, real quick before we go to Randy, is they're all the same. In fact, I'm talking about people. Like people put on their pants all the same way. I will tell you my higher end deals that I've done, and we're not an expensive area. Our average price is $275,000. But I'll tell you an experience I had a couple of years ago selling a $2 million house to a friend of mine, a retired pitcher from the Phillies. And he was selling a house for $450,000. He's buying a $2 million house. And the guy was just nickel and diming him on the $450,000 house. And he goes, oh, this is going to get, he goes, Mitch, what does it take to make it go away? I said, $5,000. He goes, done. There wasn't even like a hesitation. When you're dealing with a lower price home, you want to fix it. Well, I'm not going to spend $800 on that. So you're dealing with the higher, the money perception is a lot different when you're dealing with a higher end customer versus a lower price customer. Randy, you're up, bud.
Yeah. I just remembered, I think Pete Middleton, do you remember this? Was this you that brought in an offer on one of our flips on Desert View?
Yes.
Cash buyer out of state?
Yes.
Oh, it was you, yeah. So this kind of has something to do with it, but anyway, that kind of was eye-opening. We didn't do a lot of luxury flips back then, but I remember doing this one in particular, and I was still involved in managing a lot of the day-to-day rehab stuff, and then also selling the property. And we listed this property. I forget the price point. I mean, that it was, I guess at that point, it was maybe 2-3 million. I don't think it was more than that. And yeah, man. And we put this thing on the market, and then I get, I don't know these La Jolla agents until I met Pete, right, who was really nice to talk to, and I didn't know him back then. And he got a buyer, like just submitted a cash offer for their second house, never saw the property. And I remember specifically meeting the buyer with my partner JD at the house the day of closing. It was the first time they saw the property. We're like, and I was blown away. I was like, wait, is this actually going to close? Like, this guy never saw the house. Like the day of closing, he's walking through our house, our flip, and opening up all the drawers, like spent 2 hours in our house, opening every single thing. I'm like, what is going on? He's going to cancel. And then didn't cancel, obviously. It was the most, I think we made $250,000 on that flip. So thank you, Pete Middleton, for bringing in a cash buyer
but it's
out
okay.
of state. But anyway, so this is just a good story with Pete Middleton and the luxury market in La Jolla that he now knows very well. But I'll give you guys a couple of different perspectives. So maybe someone said this, maybe not. I haven't heard it since I jumped on. But starting out, I know everyone says don't be intimidated, and yet you will be intimidated, right? That's just the natural reaction of us when you have no experience, right? like think about what Catherine said, like how many years it took her to get that courage, right? Everyone is going to respond differently, right, to their internal feelings and all that. So, however, the way you could actually, cut that, get rid of that pretty quick and still be new is by just partnering someone like Pete, like Catherine, like Cam, like Matt, anyone in your market that's luxury. Get to know them and say like, hey, I want to do luxury. This is what I'm going to be focusing on, and just speak from confidence, right? Like, and I would love to know if and when I get clients, or when I get clients that are interested in, selling, right? Would you be interested in partnering with me? And you might get a bunch of no's until you get a yes. And if it's a $5 million property, there will be a luxury agent that would open up and say like, yeah, let's partner. And now all of a sudden you're bringing in their experience, their confidence, their leverage, right, for your non-experience. And now you just sit and watch what goes on in these appointments, right? So it's no different than what I do with agents that get their license, right? Because I have a lot of investors that get licensed and they want to sell their first flip. And I'm like, how about I help you and we sell this together, right? Because I start telling them all these things that they will experience and they get nervous, which they should, because selling a house is not just putting a sign in front of the property, right? It's a real thing. So I don't want to necessarily tell them a lie. Like, no, selling a house is not easy, okay? Like, so they're out of fear, natural fear. And again, I'm not doing it to create it, but it's just reality. Like, hey, let's partner. Let's do 1, 2, 3, whatever you want. Let's sell it together. Let me take the wheel. You sit in the passenger seat and just see how this goes for you. See if you like this even down the road. And every single time I've done this, I just sold another one with another investor in Southern California. And every time they're like, wow, when it's done, right? I always have a reflection call. I'm like, so what did you think? And they're like, that was a lot. Like, I didn't realize that you guys do so much. Like, every time I get that response, I'm like, yeah, it is a lot. And it sucks because the perception of the public sometimes is that we don't do anything, right? And so it's just eye-opening. So the reason I share that, it's the same in luxury, right? It doesn't matter if it's a $100,000 house or if it's a $3 million house. If you're new, you're new. You have no idea how to sell yet. So partner. So that would be one thing. Now, another angle to think about it, if you want to leverage some of the things that I do, right? Or early on when I was getting going, I had my own flip, so it was a little bit easier. However, what I would tell other agents that want to break into working with investors, it will apply also to the luxury areas, right? What I would do is I would go around, drive around the luxury areas, look for properties that are being renovated, find out who the owner is, reach out to the owners, right? Introduce yourself like, hey, I'm an agent in the area. I'm not sure if you're going to be putting your property on the market. Maybe you already have a realtor that would even do that for you. However, I just want to let you know that I'm always looking to market properties that are being developed or redeveloped in these areas, right? I love this area, right? That's all I focus on is these type of properties. So if you would like some more exposure, I would love to, see if I can work with you in some capacity. Most builders, including myself, when I was overseeing 10, 20 flips a month, they always want more marketing. Like no developer, and I'm not talking about a builder like new construction builders that have, whole communities. I'm talking about the builder that goes to La Jolla and does maybe 1 or 2 a year, right? They spend 3, 4, 5, 6 months on one big project. Like, I'm not talking about you get to know these people and they would love to get exposure. So then once you get them on that hook, right, you let them know like, look, this isn't going to cost you anything. I just want to help you and also get my name out and be honest. Like, so what I would do then is once you get their approval, be like, are you okay if I talk to the local neighbors in the area, in this area of where your redevelopment is, and I'll ask them if maybe they have a neighbor, they would like to maybe know a family member or someone that might want to buy your property. Are you open if I do that? Again, why would they say no in most cases, right? So now you walk around the immediate houses that are aware of this redevelopment, right? That's what I'm talking about. And then you just basically you create a one-page flyer that basically says like, hey, if you're interested in this property, let me know. This is what's happening. This is who bought it. They're going to be renovating it, putting it on the market somewhere in this price range. If you have someone that you know that is looking to buy in this area, pick your neighbor maybe, let me know. Also, if you're looking to sell, you might want to wait. They're going to be putting their house on the market in a month or two because that will set the next benchmark for your neighborhood. Let me know if you want to talk about it. And third, hey, if there's any disruption and noise or anything that you would like, that you're offended by or whatever, because that could happen with contractors, please let me know and I'll let the owner know, right? So you're almost like a neighborhood advocate, right? And you're a connector, right? And that costs you literally what? I don't know. How much does it cost? Will it cost you to print 50 flyers like that? Because I'm talking about homes that are driving by this redevelopment. I'm talking about people that live in the neighborhood. So you're not going far, right? This is very intimate area. It could be sometimes only 20 homes. Maybe it's 50. I don't know. But that's all it is. And you're just walking that neighborhood. So you're doing it during construction stage. You're going to then promote it right before it goes live on a market. Now, if they have a realtor, again, now you could cooperate, maybe talk to our realtor. If they have a realtor, well, then that's a different story. You have to step down. If they don't, then you could become their realtor just simply because you're doing a lot of the marketing while it's being renovated, and they appreciate that. If they give you the green light on actually being involved in selling the home later, I would probably still bring in someone that like is the luxury superstar, like a Pete or someone in that specific area, right? So you can really just slam dunk that sale. But then you do a VIP open house only for those neighbors. That's it, right? So it's an exclusive open for the people you've been in touch with that were curious and are aware of this redevelopment, and you give them a sneak peek. Like, hey, we're going to go on market on Sunday. We want to give you guys a sneak peek on Saturday. We're going to have food, blah, 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 whatever, wine, cheese, boom, right? So now you're making them feel special, right? And then when it sells, guess what? You hit those people up again. Hey, just want to share the good news. This property sold, and pick one specific stat that stands out. Maybe it's sold in 5 days. Maybe it's sold, set the next benchmark in the neighborhood. Whatever it is, try to find the stat that stands out, right? That you can then also talk to the same people about, right? So it's like 3 touches to that small amount of people. That's why it's very cost effective. And then you just duplicate that process over and over again with each redeveloper. But you're also documenting it on video with, again, the developers or redevelopers' permission, of course, right? So that's how you kind of break into the investor world in the luxury sphere. It's no different than if you don't want to be in luxury. You can do exactly the same thing in a $600,000 market and a $3 million market. Doesn't matter. I'll stop there, but just a different spin.
I love different spins. Good stuff. All right, I got a few things to go over here. Let me take up my notes of 627 notes I took. So, number 1, dress for success. You got to play the part. Like, one thing's really cool. Like, I've never gone on a listing appointment, regardless of the price, not in a suit. I'm always in a suit. Everywhere I go, I'm always in a suit if I'm going someplace where I have to be professional. These days, not as much because I don't really sign anymore and I don't want to be professional anymore. I just want to make bad jokes. Practice. You got to know what you're doing. I wish I had my guitar with me right now because I do this when I do a class. I will sit there and say, I've been playing guitar for 51 years. So I started when I was negative 10 years old. And I didn't wake up playing guitar. It didn't happen. It took a lot of practice and stuff. Everything I've ever done took a lot of practice. You got to practice. Your presentation, you can build out an unbelievably gorgeous presentation. And some of you guys, most of you guys with EXP, you have access to Canva. You can create amazing presentations in Canva. Your presentation is you. Like, so make it classy, don't make it crappy. Who you hang out with is really important. So one of the things I learned really early on, because I didn't have any money when I got into real estate. I just lost all my money. But I learned I could be a nice guy. So I volunteered at charity events. You know who goes to charity events? Rich people. You know what rich people own? Expensive homes. So my clientele became really expensive because all my friends I was meeting in this area were all very well off. Same thing with Starbucks. Starbucks is probably my favorite marketing tool in the world that nobody does consistently. We have one agent. He's in California somewhere. I cannot remember for the life of me who he is. But go into Starbucks in the price point you want to work. So if you're living in a $500,000 area and you want to work in a $2 million area, go to a Starbucks where the $2 million area is, and then sit there every day from 8 to 11, Monday through Friday. Remember consistency, and then put it on the back of your laptop. Real estate question, ask me. Little stupid, but it works, right? We have a guy in California, and again, I cannot find out I can't remember who he was. He does 30 transactions a year in California, just doing that. So the point about it is you can do anything you want, and I'll get back into it for a second on the mindset, but you guys got to get out of your head. I mean, there's so many people I know in their head. I'm going to give you another example. If you do get a luxury listing, how to parlay that. And I learned this from a good friend of mine who only does high-end property here. So you know how you go to a house and you get a flyer, right? Don't do flyers. This guy does every listing he has. He does an 8-page brochure. They're gorgeous. And what he does is he goes to his owner. That's how he builds his business. He only does luxury listings. He goes to the owner and says, here's some brochures I want you to give your friends, because they all know someone that might be moving to the area. So he gives them 20 of them. And then he goes, your job is to get rid of all these to all your friends. We're doing this together. And then when he does that, he gives this to these people. And they're like, oh, when I listed my house, this is a 1-page black and white brochure flyer. Who are those people going to use next time they're thinking about selling? The guy with the 1-page black and white flyer, or the one with the 8-page beautiful color brochure? So perception is everything. Everything. And I don't care. A lot of people have asked me over the years, how I was able to become successful in so many different industries. It's not because I'm good. I'm not good at all. But I have one thing that goes for me. I'm very confident. I will outperform anybody just based on confidence, because I know I can do the job. I can do whatever I want to do. I don't have any barriers. Barriers would hold all of you back. So when I go back to mindset, I'm going to spend another minute talking about this, and I'll open it up for any questions. I meet so many people that have so much potential to be ridiculously awesome. They got the personality, they got the looks, they're more than 5'5". They have all the tools they need to be successful, except confidence. They do not believe that they can do it. And I think one of Matt, I think, started on it. That's just a psychological thing. That's you in your head. Get out of your head, because this is not that difficult. So I want to do this real quick. We got 9 minutes left here. We don't have to keep the whole 9 minutes. I want to go around the room real quick, and we're in the last 2 months of the year. All of you should be working on your next year's plans right now. And I just want to go around each, just for 1 minute each. If you were starting out brand new today with what you know here, with all the experience we have, what would that one thing you would do today besides open houses, because we all know open houses is cold, to generate a sale this week? We'll start with Cam. Go ahead, Cam.
If I had to generate a sale this week, now this is market dependent, but if I had to generate a sale this week, I would try to focus in and find buyers or sellers that are putting up their hands. And you said no open houses, so we can't do open houses, but you have to find somebody that has intent now. So for our market here in South Florida, that would be people that were trying to sell that couldn't. I would go and we did one. We did one 2 months ago with a brand new agent. They called somebody, got a listing on their second day, which is partially luck, but it's also because they were doing it. Got a listing on their second day, and in day 3, they had an all-cash offer. It closed in 14 days. So I would go after expireds, and I would go in with the confidence, like everyone has said here, I would go in with the confidence is, I know why your home didn't sell, and I am confident that I can sell your home. I just need to meet with you today. And lead with the confidence, because that is the key here. The key to all of this, you guys, is confidence. That's the difference between making it, not making it. That's a part of growing, not growing. It's all what you make it. All of this business, the whole world really is just made up of people like you and I that are making it the way we want it. So lead with confidence. And then I would go on social media and I would tell the whole world that I have the solution to whatever their problem is. Okay, so you need to speak to you need to speak to what matters most to these buyers and sellers, right? Like Randy was saying, affordability and the selection is key, and that's for buyers. For sellers, it's money. Who gets the most money in the short amount of time? So you need to speak to what matters to these people. Transform your thoughts from trying to do it for you to how can I do it for them? That's what I would do. Still muted.
Pete, 1 minute fast round.
Well, I'll take what Mitchie and we both do the same thing. I would go into my phone if I had to make a sale this weekend, and I would send a very, very compelling text to everyone, which I'll probably do while I'm laid up, and just say, listen, I have a phenomenal opportunity. Who do you know wants to take advantage of it and get ahead in life? That's it. And I would send it out to them. I'd say, call me right away.
Yep. Easy connection, right? Catherine.
Okay, that's a tough one because you took away the open house. but I'm going to still go with the open house if you don't mind, because one tip I have, and I did not do that when I started, I wish somebody would have told me, is to only do open house which are only 1 week or 2 weeks max on the market and only over $1 million. Well, it depends which market you're at, right? But let's say only over where the median price is of your market. Because truthfully, I feel that's the fastest way to find a buyer today. But don't do this open house if you can avoid it, which are already 3, 4, 5 weeks on the market, and don't go for the one which are on the lower end of your market. That's kind of my advice. And sorry, I didn't listen to you, but I don't often listen.
That's okay. Well, that's why we do well. The ADDDDD people do great. Matt, you want to generate a closing before the end of the year? What would you do?
I would go through all. First of all, I'd call a bunch of expireds. That's a very easy thing to do. A lot of expireds. There are expireds now, so I think that's what I would do. I'd go through the MLS. I would cherry pick the expireds and canceleds that looked like homes I'd like to sell, and I would, call them up.
Okay, Randy.
If I'm in Florida, I would zone in on pre-foreclosure type unique selling proposition and get buyers, because everyone wants a deal, right? So I would speak to that and post it all over social media, like, hey, get your list of pre-foreclosure deals and opportunities in Florida, whatever area. If I'm in San Diego, I would focus on Assumable, and I would post, hey, here's a property. You can get this property at $3,000 a month, right? Focus on the payment, because we are such an expensive market in San Diego. So I would focus on the Assumable. So these are 2 ways you can generate buyer leads like this week.
Perfect. All right, and I just put this in the chat, so you need to copy and paste this. I do this at every class I teach, and I'll give you a quickie on this because I have 3 minutes. Last class I did this, we had 100 agents, and in 8 minutes we generated 185 leads with that line. So go through your phone and text everybody that line, and you will have a closing before the end of the year. Every time I've done this with people, they've had a closing within 6 weeks. Pretty simple. I'm in a class right now. We're having a contest, and I could really, really use your help. If you know someone looking to buy or sell a home, could you send me their contact info? Don't skimp on the way I wrote that. There's a reason why all those words have a reason for them. All right. So great stuff, guys. Another good round. We'll see you guys all next week. If anybody has any questions about anything, don't call me. Call somebody else. No, I'm kidding. And me and Matt are going to call each other and kind of compare how we're going to grow our hair back, so we don't get yelled at by Cam. So, Peace, everybody. Take
Bye,
care. Have a great
guys.
week.
Merci
Yeah.
beaucoup.
You
Au
guys.
revoir. Bonne semaine.